There was one little spot where wired up dogs or whatever had lost of winters.
Turn it on.
Yeah, they're really. And like out.
Just 2 days.
Some people hate it, but I like it. Yeah, I agree. But like, my wife's been walking that new
Yeah, the new path.
Yeah, and as long as it's not really windy, it's beautiful. It's just great.
The last 2 days, it's being nice out.
It's awesome.
It has been so heavily trafficked. It's
Oh, has it?
awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's great to see.
That's what it's supposed to
Yeah,
be.
right, absolutely.
Helped
They have such cool views of the lake.
ball tournament
We are live, it's recording.
outside of the irrigation. That's all.
Okay, I'll call the
Stations in the ground.
April
Heated.
Park and Recs Board meeting to order. Is there any citizens input?
Just to pass these down. Now, take this with a grain of salt because it's quite a bit fancier than what we can afford to do, but it gives you an idea. Okay. John McLeod and then up the volunteer group at the Lake Mitchell that has been doing, has been doing the cleanup at the, especially the public use areas. Last year, me and Linda donated to do the day camp reciting and the Sportsman's Club reciting, which we got done. And, oh, that's already up there. Anyway, we were gonna do Camp Aurora next. Well, we got over and looked at Camp Aurora, and the way that building's built, which Steve had to prove to me, it's not built like a traditional building. There's no 2x4s. The stuff that you see going up and down is the wall, and then the cedar, that tongue and groove going this way in the inside holds it together. So there is really no way to practically, side that building and make it look like we were hoping. So we kind of switched our focus to the fireplace, to the east of that. And so then we were just going to remodel that. Well, as we got to looking at that, it's going to cost quite a bit just to remodel it because the roof's shot. A lot of the upper structure isn't looking real good. Posts are fine. That's the good thing. So we looked at doing something like this. I had Joe Williams come over and look at the chimney, and the chimney's actually in pretty nice shape. It does need some new work on the firebox. And then we would put a shelter up. The shelter would be 20 foot wide by, I think it's
16 feet.
yeah, I think it's 16 feet, something like that, into there. There's 3 posts instead of 2. So there's 3 existing posts that we would continue to use and put the top over it. It wouldn't be this, timber frame look, but it would have like a 4x4 look up in the rafters, so it would look and keep it the rustic colors, and hopefully go with something permanent, so there's no painting, staining, that type of stuff for down the road. We're willing to, donate that to the city. Justin Young Construction is the one that did our work on the other buildings. He would construct it, and he's a contractor, him and his boy. And they feel if we can get the go-ahead that they could, basically have it done for the 4th of July is what that's kind of the big day at the lake. And it'd be nice to have, something, done there. Steve, you mentioned in our meeting out there, that building that was the old pump house, you'd like to get out of there. And then there's a piece of cement. So there's 3 pieces of cement. So we'd have the middle cement with the shelter on it. We'd have 2 pieces of cement that would just have picnic tables on it. So those would be out in the open. And then there's 1 more piece of cement going west that looks to me like it should be taken out and just dirten in and try to get grass to grow up to it. Because I don't know what it was for, but it's some kind of foundation for some building that was there at one time.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was there either.
Yeah. We'd have a steel roof, not a shingled roof, for fire and that, especially with that fireplace there. We don't want to have something that's pretty safe.
Can you imagine an ash coming down on the
Yeah, right.
touching
right.
the asphalt?
And there's some electrical in the back there. We'd have to take that down. install a little electric on those posts back there, the two back posts. And then the posts that are on the side, Steve, I kind of thought, as we get out there and start doing it, we could maybe use those and cut them down and cover them to match, and then put a board across them, so it'd kind of be a little bit of a buffer, but not walls. That all the walls are rotted out on the backside of this thing. That's where it would take quite a bit to fix what's there, because of course it goes right down to the dirt, the walls do right now. So we just do the best we could to shore that up, and there might need to be a little reshaping from Steve's crew to just get the drainage to work a little better on that backside. There's a trail that runs right back there, isn't there, Steve?
Yep.
Yeah. And so we'd have to work on that. So that's what we're proposing anyway. That would be our last building that we'd be looking at. We do have another shelter, I shouldn't say our last, because at the boat dock, we're planning on a smaller shelter there also, but that's gonna be later in the year when city gets all their work done and gets that all leveled up and no drainage is all good, and then kind of go from there. There's some rock that needs to go in, so. Projects have been going good. Our volunteer group is growing. We picked up 2 new girls last week that wanted to help. We did some work at the golf course and got rid of some buckthorn there. So it's, they're anxious to go clean up stuff, that's for sure. We've got most of the parks, or the use areas, roughed in, and now we're just, like today, I just worked at Sandy Beach. I was just taking dead limbs out of those old the old big trees. I already trimmed up all the small ones a couple years ago, so we're just taking some stuff out of there and getting those cleaned up. And then, same guy, Justin Young, comes in with his 55-foot lift, and once the trees have leaves on them, he won't do Sandy Beach now, he'll do Sportsman's Club next. He goes up and cuts the dead stuff out of the trees. We're trying to get those old trees to live as long as we can, and keep them looking as good as we can. So if there's any questions or thoughts?
So because this wasn't on the agenda as far as an approval item, he's here to present a concept tonight, and then we would ask him to come back, and provided it's something that the building inspector approves in terms of what this design is, then we would have it on there as something that the board would approve as far as constructing it out there, or replacing what's there. But please ask questions if you got them.
Yeah. Good idea, bad idea, you guys tell me.
Awesome idea.
Looks really good.
Yeah.
No issue.
I think it'd be a nice addition. We see quite a few people using that area down there, being on the lake like we are.
But did you mention it may or may not be tied in with the chimney?
Right, we don't know at this time whether we really want to tie it to the chimney like that one shows. It would not need to be, and the chimney is very secure. Actually, Joe was really surprised, how good a shape it's in. It doesn't take much repair except the firebox, so they could run separately for sure. But we just try to make it look as nice as we can, and I think everything else we've done has turned out pretty good. So I think you just have to trust the process and do as best we can to make something look nice out there. Kind of go from there. But there's no water out there, Steve, right down there?
Just from that old well, in that building
Yeah.
to the west, that old well, that's the
Okay.
only thing.
I don't think we'd want.
Nope.
And there's no lights or anything, correct?
In that shelter now, there is lights.
There is lights?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, so we'd have to,
I think it's just a couple of them, isn't it?
Yeah,
There's-
there's 2 or
it's
3,
pretty
maybe
dark in
4.
there.
okay, so we'd have to have a couple lights up high then, okay.
And
Yeah,
those could either be put on a timer or whatever you prefer, Steve.
Yeah, they could put some type of timer, they come on at sunset, off at 10:30, 11 o'clock at
Yep.
night.
oh, so they automatically come on now then?
No.
No.
Okay, no, not now, okay.
But that's what he suggested.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
come on with,
yeah.
the sun goes down.
Yeah.
And then in times when people can clear the park before 11 o'clock.
Right, yeah, yeah. And so that's what we're proposing, and the only thing I can say is that in order to get it done, we need to kind of be able to move on it fairly quick and get it on its schedule. I'm not saying tonight, but I mean, it would be,
So
So if you get the drawing together, is it something you can email out to all of us and you're gonna that way, or? do we have to-
We don't have a way of doing a drawing,
Okay,
yeah.
so what is the city going to require for him to do his job?
The building inspector needs to have some sort of an idea on paper, and that doesn't mean it comes from you, but it might be from who your volunteer contractor is, showing what he
Yeah.
intends to do, you know.
Yeah, I guess I don't,
And, I mean, writing what the spacing is going to be of
Mhm.
rafters and whatever else.
yeah,
If I need help with that wording, I certainly would, but.
yeah. Yeah, I can't draft anything up or anything, you know, but I know.
Well, I don't know CAD either.
Yeah, and, but, I mean, he could, you know, draw what the rafters would look like, I guess. I mean, the roof's a roof, you know, but we're using the existing poles.
But they're too, 412 pitch, 612 pitch?
Well, we've got we don't want to get way above the chimney, of course.
Right.
So the chimney's probably going to dictate the pitch. So it's not going to be real steep. That chimney's not real, I think it's 11 foot tall, 11 or 12 foot tall. Yeah.
Trying to remember, is it peak now? Can't remember. Is it
No, it's
just kind of-
flat.
It's
Just kind
above.
of a lean-to kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it leans from the chimney going out, if I'm not mistaken, toward the lake.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you're right. But like I say, I'm just thinking about the 4th and trying to get it done for this year, since the lake is draining, it'd be nice to have it done, so,
Well, I think Park Board will probably approve it pretty fast, as long as it's crossing all of the Ts and dotting the Is that the building,
So I
that the
can't
requirements. that
do
there is.
an all points bulletin, and everybody saying, hey, respond to this, but I can do a straw poll to each of you saying, what are your thoughts on this? And it sounds like you're all in agreement with the concept right now.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm guessing unless we all see something really out of whack,
So
we're gonna
then-
go.
So then we'll
go
have
for
some
it.
legwork with John across the hall to
Okay.
make certain that steps,
Who's John?
the building inspector.
Building inspector?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, the poles seem to be in good shape. We'd wrap them up and make them match up what the rafters are gonna be, you know, and go from there. But that's what we've got in mind, and we'd just like to move ahead as soon as we can. So whatever you can do, Kevin, to implement it, that would be great. I can have him pencil it in as far as timeline, and hopefully we can get everything figured out before that.
Right. Okay. Further questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
John.
Thank you.
Are there any delegations or any other citizens input, I guess?
Kevin, is this where I can talk about the trees that we're putting in out there?
Sure.
We're gonna talk later about the story walk, but
Yes.
I just want to take a minute. I'm Linda McEntee, president of the Mitchell Kiwanis Club. Kiwanis is all about kids and community, and each year we have some big fundraisers, and each year we put aside $5,000 a year to go towards our park project, and most oftenly it goes to Kiwanis Woodlot Park. If you recall, a couple years ago, we did a big $160,000 addition out there with inclusive playground, so anybody can go and play, and anybody can have their family members attend with them. So we haven't put trees out there in a while. We used to plant a tree every year on Arbor Day, but they wouldn't get watered, and having somebody drive out there with a couple gallons of water every day didn't work. But now John and his volunteers, and along with city things, we've got things in place. And so this year we purchased $1,000 worth of trees. We bought 6 trees that are going to be planted on Arbor Day at 10 o'clock in the morning out there. We're going to have a little ceremony. We got 2 Fiesta Maple, 2 Linden, and 2 new breed of elm. And about how tall are they, John? Do you remember? They're pretty tall.
They're pretty good sized.
10 feet? 10 feet?
Oh, yeah.
10, 12 feet?
10,
So
12 feet.
they're good
Yeah,
sized
they're good
trees.
sized trees.
And we love that park, and we love all our parks, so we just know that the best time to plant a tree is today if you didn't do it yesterday,
So
so.
we're gonna want your input, Steve, on placement, going in concordance with what the disc golf course is, so we aren't running right in the middle of where the disc would go. Also, do you want help, as in the holes pre-tapped, or do you prefer to dig them with a shovel?
Oh, no.
No, thank you.
We prefer him to be the other.
John said he had that lined up.
Clarify
These are
that.
big, yeah. Yeah. No, we would like some holes dug.
Yeah.
So if we need to, whatever, however that needs to come to play.
one is a 15 gallon or a 25?
They were two 25s and then four
Two-
15s.
I thought there were two 20s.
Was it 20s?
So
Okay.
you
I
know
think.
how big around that is, Steve? in terms of-
20 gallon, two 20 gallons and four 15
Auger
gallons.
Push and hold the bottom. Okay, okay, good.
Yeah, we have a 36-inch auger bit that will drill a 36-inch hole. And if we need to use our tree spade to pull a plug, we can do it that way too, to make a big enough hole.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're a nice size tree. You'll be fine with your normal
Yeah,
drill. Yeah.
they're nice.
The auger
Okay.
line.
Anybody have questions?
Thank you, Linda.
I'll be back.
Is there any other citizens input? If not, we're on to delegations. We'll move on to additions and deletions and approval of the agenda.
I'll motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Minutes.
I'm sorry, let's go back to that, so I'm not fighting with the minutes. Motion, second? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Financial reports.
Start with the campground bills. Again, the quiet time of the year with bills out there, but there are a few. Oh, there's a big one in there, and that's a new golf cart for out there, not for golfers, but that's how they do the deliveries and utility work around the campus out there. And one of those things would be delivering firewood from the shed out to the campers who decide they want to buy firewood. And the architect fee, again, is related to working on the campground storm shelter. As is the geotech above that. On to parks bills. Stop me if you need to. That was a toolcat as it indicates on here.
those, refunds?
This is actually startup money for the concession stands.
Oh, okay.
You want to note this, Jeremy?
What's the vendor? I can't read that.
Beacon.
Oh,
And it's
Beacon
the
for like
double-sided home plates.
3,000 something?
Yes.
Is that right? Those are double-sided home plates. We got 8 Bulldog home plates for the softball fields, half paid by women's softball.
That was bills for parks. Now we'll move on to revenue expense for campground. Parks revenue and expense. You can compare where we're sitting current year compared to last year as I'm scrolling down, so if you note where these two columns are. Yes, I'm down an employee up in my department. Write-off, was there anything as far as river expense that one of you three guys need to note?
I'll motion to approve the financial reports.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of placement of Kiwanis Club Story Walk in Patnell.
Appreciate your enthusiasm, Andy, but we jumped over the department reports.
Oh, sorry. Department reports.
We'll be quick. We promise. We just highlight, so. I'll start, just a couple highlights for programs. We wrapped up our winter programs here. Actually, the last one was Wednesday, so moving on, looking towards the summer. The summer brochure came out last week, and we'll start registration online next Monday at 8 o'clock. So we're looking forward to that. The brochure looks really good. They had a new, the Daily did a new kind of upgraded outlay to it, and so we're really happy with that. Jamie did have a lifeguard training class last weekend. Had 12 actually. And so, and she's got 4 more that she's doing, so she's up around 15 new guards. So very excited about that. Still need 5 to 10 more to complete for the summer, but she was really excited about that after the state basketball tournament. She got a bunch of people wanting to sign up to be lifeguards, so we're happy about that. As far as the rec center goes, we've stayed super busy. As I stated in here, we're up over 4,800 check-ins for the year from last year already, or from our best year, and so we're busy, and that's great to see. Did we want to mention anything about the indoor playground?
Yes.
So we had things ready to go for that. They were going to come and install it the end of May, early June. I think that's still on track. It has to go to the next council meeting on the 21st, I believe. And I'm going to lay out some points for that at that council meeting. So I don't know if you wanted me to say anything about it now.
It did go through a bidding process, and there were some that were kind of in line with the bids, or others that were not. And ultimately, it narrowed itself down to the point where there wasn't a whole lot of selection involved. So as much as we would have liked to involve the park board in the decision-making process, it was a lot of back and forth with engineering, and it boiled down to one company. So there wasn't any decision to be made other than this is what we get to have for the money we've got.
The one thing I will mention about it, I think there's a misconception of how big it's going to be and what it actually is. It's going into our youth room that we use for preschool and our after-school program. We're going to make it a total youth room when those 2 groups are not using it. So it's a part of that room. So it's a 16 by 16 structure. It says the capacity is about 40, but realistically maybe 25 to 30 at a time. But we also in that room have a rock wall. We have 2 smaller basketball hoops, some youth soccer goals that they can play soccer, a couple of other games in there. So it's part of the entire room. So it's not something that you'd see in the Mall of America where it's as big as a gymnasium. So, but it is going to be a nice feature to that room, and we'll have guidelines for when it's open. We'll have a schedule for when it's open to the public, and the age groups and all that kind of stuff here.
Is it like an age specific?
Is
there a guide for what
it's
is supposed to use
designed
it?
for toddler up to, it says up to 10 years old, and he's like, 8 to 9,
Okay.
and so that's the age that we're kind of looking to, yeah.
Absolutely.
Since Kevin won't be here next month, this is going to be his last meeting, but we also want to have him highlight the specific times it might be for preschool and things, and birthday parties and the likes.
Yeah, and we'll have that out. But right now, during the school year, the preschool uses it for about an hour and a half during the morning and an hour and a half during the afternoon. And then our after-school program uses it from 3:15 to 5:30. Any other times that we're open, and we need about 15 minutes to a half an hour before and after they're done with that to clean up anything that might need to be cleaned up. But any time other than that we're open, it's going to be open to the public. Members don't need to pay. If you don't have a membership, you would have to purchase a day pass. But you can come in there with your child. It has to be a parent with them. You can't be a parent and bring in 10 other kids that you can't supervise, okay? Because we're talking littler kids. And so it's not a drop-off, and it's not going to be supervised. It's you coming in with your child, playing with them or watching them play, that kind of thing. We will, on weekends, like Saturdays and Sundays when we have birthday party rentals available, we will block it off for that 1 o'clock to 2:30 time, because they're going to have an option to purchase that room as well if they want to for their birthday party. If there's not a birthday party on a certain day, it'll still be open. So we are excited about that. No, the only thing I do want to say, like he mentioned, this is my last board meeting. I'll be retiring in May. I want to thank all the people that I've worked with, worked under me. I couldn't have asked for a better career. That's all I better say. I don't want to start getting emotional, but this has been a great place to work. That's all I can say. Couldn't have asked for a better 3 decades. So I appreciate everybody here too. So.
Well, and I think the city appreciates all the people that know you or don't know you, don't even know how much work you've done over the years, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Couple things. We have the men's league hockey tournament this weekend. 22 teams, 38 games from, I believe, 5 states. Pretty much wrapping up with hockey. There's a Monday, Thursday practice for hockey. Figure skating will go to the end of the month. We will do our open skate and bumper cars on the weekends. The end of the month, April 30th is the last day, so we'll start shaving down the ice, taking logos out, and get that ice out as soon as we can in May. Outside things are going. Mitchell soccer started on Monday. Dakota Wesleyan baseball and softball has been going for a while now. High school baseball and softball have been going. There's been one softball game. Baseball's first home game is next Thursday. Early bird tournament on May 3rd. We did have the design, what's the roof company's name? Design Arc. Came again last Friday to look at the roof. I think they were looking at the structure of it to see if a new pitch roof could go on it. I haven't heard anything back from that. Cadwell pumps that got installed last fall for the irrigation at Cadwell got a seal put back in that was leaking.
Monday.
Monday. That did work. They are getting everyone together, and as of right now, Monday turning on irrigation. We got some bathrooms up. We will look at doing the rest of those at the fields next week.
Dugouts?
Dugouts, yes. A group has come forward to pay for half of a remodel of the dugouts at the stadium. We do have some money for some other things that would need council approval to slide over to pay for the other dugout, but we're meeting with engineers and the Williamses next week to see exactly how high and far out some things will be. And once that is complete, I'll go to council or Kevin and see if we can slide that money over, but one dugout is paid for by outside group. Real soon here was supposed to be today, so I'm thinking it'll be early next week. We'll meet with SPN on design of Cadwell infield and get bid date sets for that. I believe I hit my things there. Any questions?
I have nothing to add beyond what's written. You guys are welcome to ask as we approach the end of the meeting. I don't want to push off our guests any further.
We good? Oh, we want to jump to the next one then? Is that what you want to do?
Yes, please.
Okay. Approval of placement of Kiwanis Club Story Walk in Patton Young Park.
Thank you for your patience, Linda.
No problem. Again, Linda McEntee with Kiwanis Club. Jean Patrick here is our representative on our committee from the Mitchell Public Library. We're working together with Kiwanis, the library, and then the Dakota Wesleyan Future Teachers Group to put a story walk together. So Jean's going to tell you what a story walk is.
Okay, again, I'm Jean Patrick, the Children's Services librarian from Mitchell Public Library. And a story walk is a physical way to read a book. So normally if you were in the library or at home with your kids, you would be sitting there and reading a book like this. But with a story walk, the pages are taken out of the book and they're placed in frames under plexiglass on posts. And so you would read the first page of the book, and then you would walk however many yards and read the second spread. and then you'd walk again and read the third spread all the way through. So we had done some story walks during COVID by placing pages in city businesses, and that was great fun. But we dreamed of having a more permanent placement, and we're thrilled that, the Kiwanis Club on their own initiated this. And so it's, they've looked into the company, and very sturdy posts and plexiglass and frames, and I'll let Linda tell you a little bit more about it.
And we toured one in Madison. They did a 16-station one because at that time, in the past, most children's books were 32 pages, so 16 posts would get us a 32-page book. But as Jean let us know, most books are coming now out at 40 pages, so we're looking to put 20 posts in at Patton Young Park. Not only do they read the book on those panels, there will be interactive things to do, and that's what the Future Teachers Group will do. For example, maybe it's a book about, if you gave a pig a pancake. So they talked about the protagonist. This is the protagonist in this story. That means this. Or in this part of the story, they were doing jumping jacks. Can you do 10 jumping jacks? And then we're also going to add QR codes on there where a parent or child, whatever, can scan a QR code and have those 2 pages read to them in either English or Spanish. So it's going to be fitting for all different kinds of people in our community. It'll be at a height where someone coming by in a wheelchair can read it and access it. Children, it's a little short for preschoolers, but we don't want to go too low because then us adults won't be able to read it if I'm there reading to my grandkids. So anyway, we're looking at Patton Young Park. Kevin thought that that'd be a great spot. We have a great sidewalk there. And so we would cover the costs. The costs are about $6,500. That would come from our Kiwanis Half Marathon from last year. And we can use those funds to fund this. The Future Teachers Group would change out the book every quarter. So 4 times a year there would be a different story. And we would try to relate it to things going on in the Kiwanis world. We have a baseball tournament in the summer. So leading up to that, we'd love to do a baseball thing, or as we get ready for our half marathon in October, we'll maybe put a book in leading up to having something to do with running. And so it's all a way to implement different ideas and different community things going on to get the community out, kids out, parents out. So Kevin's got it lit up there, what we were looking at on that sidewalk all the way from.
So we would start at one end. It's just the larger dots. When I did this on Google Earth, it kind of traces the map, and it added an extra dot in between. So it would be just the larger ones. And Steve, initially, we had thought 16. But as Jean had explained, children's books are going now more toward 40 pages, which would require 20 different stations. So I've lined this with, I believe, 10 on each side. So that would be the approximate location if the park board approves of this.
And what we would ask of the city then would be to pour a cement slab and install the posts on that slab. We would cover all the hardware and the swapping out and that of the walk.
And Steve, I guess we'd leave that to you. What would be best in terms of looking at the platform size? Would it be a 3x3? Would it be slightly curved at the backside or arced to be able to go around it easier with a mower? But obviously you want it far enough off the sidewalk so that your broom equipment in the winter months isn't going to accidentally bump it.
Yeah, I think we'd have to look at the posts and the layout and see how far we can put it away from the sidewalk, because we got irrigation along there, plus the snow removal in the wintertime and stuff like that we got to work around.
And they are aluminum posts, so we wouldn't be worried about rusting from the irrigation. And they are under plastic and laminated as well, those sheets would be.
Right, yeah, they'll be laminated and then there's the plexiglass. And from what we've seen, they say their condensation happens, but Madison said they'd teach us how to laminate. They said laminate and laminate and then laminate again. So they've already been through a couple winters with theirs, and they could give us some tips on it.
The last time you were here, you said you changed the stories every couple months.
Every quarter.
Every quarter, okay.
Yep.
Is there lighting on that sidewalk?
No.
No? I was curious.
Good question.
Is that about, like in Madison, is that about the distance, the walking distance, or is it spread out more? Is
In
it-
Madison, it's spread out all over the lawn, which is not very
And
ideal.
it's random, she said, so it's
Yeah,
hard
it's
to-
random, and so, I don't know, I mean, it's wherever you guys want, if you want us to do it, if you would allow us to do it, it's wherever you decide it goes, but in Madison, it is in the middle of the lawn.
There's also a north sidewalk on the other side of the ball field, but I don't know that separating it and have half here and half at the north end of the park would be a good idea.
Well, I'm just thinking, because, I mean, Steve can say it, spread it out, spread them farther apart, and turn the corner and go on the east side of the,
Toward the shelter.
like behind the baseball field over there,
On the east side.
East side of the park.
on the
The
east
other
side of
side.
the park,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't, Steve, is that, I can't remember if that sidewalk has a loop over there by the, like, right behind the baseball field there?
Yeah, it goes north, and then there's that other sidewalk on the north side of,
So there's a
Is there a
large-
natural loop? I can't remember how it, like, is it like a T over there?
yep, yep.
Just trying to think of a turnaround. I don't know, just spacing it out a little, I don't know. I don't know what the proper distance is.
I don't either, but yeah, we just saw theirs, and theirs was kind of random, because it's like, on each panel, they have a little arrow, go over here to the next one.
No, I like the sidewalk and
And
then maybe
we
put some
like the
arrows
sidewalk,
on the
especially
sidewalk.
for, yeah.
Right, and our
But-
concept was to go down one side rather than zigzagging back and forth, because
Yeah.
then you'd interrupt traffic. But if we feel this is too crowded, initially, again, we thought it was gonna be 16, so it was a bit more space. But talking about, and
You
obviously.
could go out there, I mean, yeah,
You've
if you
been
want to
over
go
it.
out there and look, yeah.
Because they'll order upon your approval, and we don't assume they're gonna be placed for, it's gonna take several weeks for them to be delivered. And as we discussed last week, this might be dry weather before, like July, before they actually have time during slower mowing, before guys are able to do construction out there.
Yeah.
So there is time to go out and look at it.
Oh, yeah.
Is it, yeah, and
It does go in a circle there, and it's not like a city sidewalk. It goes all the way around.
would it be too much to go all the way around
There's
that?
that sidewalk that's on the north side of the.
Yep.
The ball field there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was just talking about either turning around. I mean, would it be too spread out to go all the way
If you
around?
did like a
You get
full
people
loop.
more active.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Well, and I wonder if you started on South Edgerton, if you started it closer to the road, if it would catch people's attention as they were driving by, and if you started it.
Or also like at the park too. 'cause I
Yeah,
mean,
either
that would
one,
be
just
busy.
wherever they
That
can
being-
see it as they're going by and figure it out.
Yeah, I agree that you having it 20 to 25 feet apart can give a bit of a crunched look.
Mm-hmm.
I've only been over there once this spring yet, and there was quite a few people there, and quite a few people hanging out in that specific area.
Well, because the new playground is so
Yeah.
nice, yeah.
Yeah, so like, there were parents walking that stretch
Oh, okay.
while their kids were playing, like, just walking right there when I was there, so
Which makes it handy for well, they'd all be on the playground, think about kids and the older kids, because if a parent is over walking the full loop with another kid to read, and the kid's over here at the playground, that's the downside of that.
Right. But then it's also might be, let's go do this story walk, we'll come back and play or whatever. I like the idea of it spread out more.
You start at the park and go all the way around the baseball field,
Mhm.
and end up back at the shelter.
That'd be cool.
See any issues having them street side? I mean, they'd be on obviously the
Yeah, they would
back
have to be
side
on
of
the
sidewalk.
park side of
Yeah.
it, but, as long as they're far enough away for snow removal and
Yeah.
that type of stuff.
Shouldn't be an issue.
That'd work a lot better for
And-
mowing.
Yeah, work around our irrigation a little bit, that's in place out there,
Right, because you just avoid the heads that are there then.
yeah.
Because it doesn't have to be a set distance between each, it can just be wherever it fits into the landscape.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we need to consider southern exposure and the plexiglass and getting the glare off of it. And so I don't know, You understand what I'm saying for reading purposes?
So this whole side could be facing north.
Okay,
This side would be facing the east.
right.
This side could be facing north again. Over here would be the tough side facing the west.
West, yeah,
So there's no southern exposure, cool.
yeah.
Maybe only put just like 2 along that west side, space them way out on that one.
Well, and I'm sure, I mean, this company, they're all,
Yeah.
they have story walks everywhere, and I'm sure there's a lot of places where they don't, but the best that we could do to minimize that would be good.
So at this point, we're looking for approval for them to proceed with the ordering and with us covering the expense in terms of installing the concrete and the mounting bolts. I assume those come with the package, but
I assume, but do you have you might have the bid and.
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
So the plan is to leave them out in the middle of winter too?
Yes, and we change them out in the winter too.
Okay.
Yep, yep.
And would you agree with that, Steve, bolting them via studs into the concrete? Or
Instead of
actually
digging
pouring-
down?
Or actually pouring posts?
I think the pad would be better, because if we have any irrigation lines underneath, we don't have to actually dig a hole. We could put a pad over top and not affect it.
Right, and with this, don't have to put landscaping, you've already got an edge to mow around,
Yeah.
provided you get your concrete.
I like to put the
recessed.
concrete wide enough past the pedestal so we don't hit it with the mowers or anything like
Right.
that.
Because they have to know we'll actually be doing the ordering, because they'll donate the amount needed to make that order happen.
Okay. Yeah, we'll have to see how big the platform is on top and put our concrete kind of according to that. And
Okay.
So we just approve that it's gonna happen, and then we'll look at either, you guys we'll discuss a design later, correct? Like exactly where they're going? or-
Location.
Yeah,
Yep.
or you'll send it out to us or whatever. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carried.
Would it be beneficial for somebody to go out, I mean, whoever, like, just to go and spray paint white dots at some point? I don't know who that, like, and then we can go kind of look at it to see where, or you guys can, like,
So,
It doesn't matter to us, it would be all with you guys and where you.
do you want to, I mean, what's your plan, or what would be the best for you, Steve, as far as like,
yeah, we could go kind of mark out where we think it would work best and then contact you guys to come take a look at it and see
and we'll
what it
discuss leaving a
works.
50-foot buffer around the shelter, just because there's events that go there as well, and just to give them their space too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's plenty of space down that we're going, if we go all the way around there, there's plenty of space.
Yeah. Cool.
Very nice. Cool, thanks guys.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
You too, Ruthie.
Approval of 2025 Lake Mitchell Campground pontoon rental rates.
So last year, we proposed to go in 4-hour blocks, no matter when it was, be it on weekdays or weekends. And our limitation last year, as I explained in a recent council meeting, was that we had campground hosts where it was not in their job descriptions. This boiled down to needing to work with that schedule of a full-time employee. So it wouldn't go beyond 4 o'clock on a weekday, and pretty much the same on a Saturday, and it wasn't available on Sundays or national holidays, because that would cost us double time with an employee and time and a half on a Sunday out there. So we didn't end up renting at all. This year, it's in the job description of the campground hosts, and the ones we have hired, they already understand that that's going to be a part of their job. And so upon further discussion, we thought, and we looked at what Cedar Shores, is it, Steve?
Yep.
Out in Chamberlain, and they have gone to an all-day on the weekends, if you're going to rent on the weekend. I scroll over the top of that or close to that, and it pops up. Please excuse me. thank you for your help. So we're not going to go to an all-day requirement for rental on the weekends. We think we can stick with the 4-hour block, but it's going to be the same hourly rate. Need to have a minimum of 4 hours on the weekend, but we can do 1-hour blocks during the weekdays. And when I say that, we still might have to have some conversation, because if somebody says to the staff person, well, how long does it take to go around the lake? In all likelihood, it takes longer than an hour. By the time you get loaded up and around the lake, I'm guessing it takes closer to an hour and a half to go around the perimeter of the lake in a pontoon. So we may be having a 2-hour minimum, just based upon not this, but upon what people do. If they come back late, it presently says that it's $100 for a late fee. I think that was per hour. Right, and the deposit gets refunded again, of course, but their lateness can be taken right out of the deposit if they get grumpy about it.
It's up there. It was
It's
right
in
there.
that box,
Okay.
It's in that
underneath
box.
deposit fee.
Yep, there it is, late $100 an hour. So basically, it's a change in offering it hourly during the week, and from 7 in the morning until a half hour before sunset at night. Again, last year it was 8 in the morning until 4 o'clock, 6 days a week. We have gone that it's available on the national holidays and the Saturday, Sundays as well. But for 4-hour blocks, again, on the weekends and the holidays.
I don't think a 2-hour minimum is out of line for sure.
I would
mean,
agree, just do it,
Yeah,
just
oh,
put it
yeah,
at 2.
Right, it's like, just say my family wanna do it. An hour, like by the time you get there and get it all figured out and all of that, that's not even, yeah.
Well, and I think about the staff person too. So,
Right.
okay, so we just took in 75, and we tied up that person for an hour before, an hour after, well, half hour before, half hour after, in terms of getting together all the life jackets in the right sizes and making sure that it's fueled up and the like, so.
Right.
I would propose to change that to,
So are you, okay, that's the only change that I've done. So other than that, it's the same as last year. It took a lot of resizing to get it on here because we added extra lines.
so the time, go back to the time, so the time just says the 7 o'clock.
It goes 7 a.m. and I believe it says until half.
Oh,
hour
sunset,
prior.
30 minutes prior, okay.
Yes.
Is this available on the website? I mean, can you reserve it, or how's it work?
Yes.
That's the-
It's not available to rent on the website, but the form,
Right.
the old one is presently on the website. And I
And
will
then to
update-
reserve it, there's your contact or whatever
Yep,
on the website.
and right now, I believe it's Steve's phone number on there. Because we can't give out the private phone numbers of our campground hosts, then people will be
Absolutely.
calling them.
Could you do it so that this whole application process is online?
The people who are running the campground, the hosts, don't have access to any online component for us. So even when it comes to the reservation system, our office has been printing off daily rosters of anybody who's reserving at the campground and printing them off for the hosts. They come up Monday through Friday to get those in the morning. On the weekends, we have listed on the website that they have to reserve at least 48 hours in advance. So if you want to reserve in the weekend, you actually have to show up in person and see what's available. The host will have the roster, and then you can pay at the pay station out there for doing a campground reservation. So it might be a little bit cumbersome, but there's really not an effective way to do it online. Thank you for the idea, though, Sean. Thoughts, any other questions? If not, we'd be looking for an approval of it.
I'll motion to approve it with the 2-hour change there on the minimum.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Review of park shelter rates.
This was actually brought up 2 months ago at the board meeting, but I did not get it on the agenda. So I have this within my notes. And I know what they are, but I want it on paper in front of you. So presently, the non-enclosed shelters are $55 plus tax for a day, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. The enclosed shelters are $110 or twice as much, 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. for a day. Here's what the numbers were in terms of who rented, how many facility rentals we had at each park, and notice there's not one here that's higher than that. These 3 or 4 things are combined to come up with that total, just in terms of saving space. The most popular remains Patton Young, followed by Hitchcock Enclosed, followed closely by Day Camp. And the others kind of tail off from there. What we talked about was increasing rates, but I don't know that we really defined what we should do in terms of that. If I were to look at whether or not I would want to raise rates, I don't think I do that on a non-enclosed shelter. But that's just my opinion.
There's not really any, besides picking up the garbage, there's not really any staff demands when it's a non-enclosed shelter.
We have some particular people to where if something blew into there or a bird got onto a table between the time that they cleaned it up and somebody got there to where they'll want it addressed.
Got it.
Yeah, because our staff comes in early in the morning to clean them, in an open shelter, somebody can come in an hour later,
Yeah.
destroy it
Yeah.
and whatnot, but they try to do their best.
He does have a Saturday person who's on. Oh, well, he's got seasonal people who are on Saturday. Jeremy has the full-time person on Saturday, but we do it too. We've got,
Yeah,
but he's
we have
generally
a
parks,
guy that kind of helps with that.
campground.
Yep.
I see Hitchcock enclosed. There's other shelters that are not enclosed in Hitchcock too, isn't there?
Correct. The one on the south side of where the pickleball courts are, which we call the south shelter, we no longer have listed anymore as rentable because that's going to be kind of boxed in by the pickleball courts.
Okay.
And all summer this year, there's going to be construction around it. So we thought, we're just going to leave that as a non-rentable shelter. I suspect the pickleball players are kind of picking up as a home base, but I don't know that for certain. They've asked about putting a storage area, maybe even fastening a steel storage building within that for pickleballs.
That's amazing.
Similar.
And we're starting to see a lot with the outdoor shelters that people ain't renting them at all. I think they just kind of see, they wait and watch for the rental sheets in their, reservation boxes. They take their chance if it's available or not to use it.
We had similar in the community I moved from here from prior to moving here, where people would call and ask if it was available, and they'd say, okay, thank you, as in was it rented the next day or not.
And I think on our website, it actually shows when it's available, when it's rented too, so they can kind of see on the website. So we don't see a lot of paid rentals at the outdoor shelters.
Well, Monroe Gardens, in terms of weddings and things out there, Band Shell, similar.
Yeah, those are kind of specialty ones.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah, like
I mean,
the
obviously,
north
this is
shelter,
like
south
saying-
shelter.
this is- I've never like reserved an outdoor enclosure. If someone's using it, you just move on to the next one. I mean,
Find a picnic table somewhere.
yeah, right.
Exactly.
Right. Unless you're doing it for a big event or something.
We expect Sportsman's Club, that's the one that's supposed to get AC this year.
Yep.
That one along the south side of the lake, it's the one furthest to the east, that will have, it's scheduled to get air conditioning this year and budgeted to get it. That one tends to get condensation in it because it stays so, the floor, concrete stays so cool that it'll get moisture on it. So it's important to get that one done first. And I suspect that those rentals will pick up in that space.
Well, that was one of the thoughts I had. I mean, maybe by what amenities are in the building is if we need to go up in price with these, the ones that have air conditioning obviously are costing more.
Right.
And those would be the ones that I would say would be the ones that you would want to charge more for. Because, you know, the other ones, you're kind of taking a shot in the dark, whether it's going to be a nice day or not. And you may not even sit in the shelter if it's 100
Even with
degrees out.
graduations in May.
Yeah. I've been at a few of them, and it's rough, you know? So, how many of them have air conditioning?
We have 3 now, Pat and Young, the enclosed shelter, and then Sportsman's is getting done this spring.
So if you were to move to a different rate there, I would think that in the range of 135 to 150 plus tax might be doable.
Yeah.
Unless you were thinking of a smaller increment.
No, in my head, I was thinking, I got air conditioning and I don't have air conditioning, I'll pay the extra $40 and that was in my head anyway, right?
Right.
Like, and we have extra, I mean, you're using extra energy when those things are on, and people aren't gonna be happy if they walk in and the air conditioning isn't already going when they get there. So now you gotta send someone out there and turn it on and all that, or, because I'm assuming we don't just leave them run all year.
No, our person would, well, do you?
Well, they run in the summer months, but we keep it just comfortable. We don't keep it like your house or whatever.
So there's definitely extra costs involved, for
Right.
sure. So,
Right, because they aren't very well insulated, those two.
No.
So you might keep it at 80 to
Yeah.
85 and then turn it down that morning. Will they have access to the thermostat?
They do right now, you know.
But those two are insulated.
Yep.
We might put a lockbox in that one. We'll have to see what we do. But people can get in those too. I've seen
Yeah,
such.
it's just a plastic cover. It doesn't take much to break into them.
any
So
other-
we aren't looking for action today. This is a discussion of the rates, but we can put something in place on next month's agenda.
So 40, you're talking extra 20, if you went to 150, it's an extra, what, $1,600 or something like that? If it stayed at the current rates. Talking extra $3,000-4,000 over the whole year.
That covers electricity
That
pretty
covers the
easily.
electricity, yeah. Yep.
So if that's what we're thinking, we aren't looking for a proposal now, but if that's kind of what your thought process is, I can bring that back for action next month.
Okay, everybody? Anybody got anything else on this?
That's just the enclosed shelter. You're just talking the ones with AC.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
just the enclosed with AC. So we'll have 3 different rates to memorize. We do have one person waiting in the audience yet from an organization on this next one, so.
Okay, we'll move on. Discussion on a possible reconfiguration of the locker rooms at the ice arena.
Hello. We're looking at moving the med room basically over, and in between the 2 locker rooms, we're only moving 1 wall. And then we're gonna put, I don't know if it's gonna be a pocket door necessarily, just a some kind of door so so Nick, the head coach, can monitor his 2 locker rooms, because it's hard to get a parent there at 3:30 to do locker room monitors. One's hard enough, let alone 2. And his other assistant coach isn't there till 4 or so, a little after, so that's essentially all we're doing.
So this is where it is presently, and it would move to here, so there'd be a split, and he'd have access, or
Yep.
to both sides.
Yep, and they both maintain the doorways and everything. All the doorways would work out where they're at. So we're just moving a wall.
And this is the boys' locker rooms?
Yes, the JV and varsity.
So conceptually, we're looking for it, just your nod that this is gonna work, and then we'll come back after talking to the building inspector next month to say, yes, he approves of it with this design, and they're not gonna start on it now anyhow. They would want it prior to next season being done.
Yes, we'd like to do it this summer at some point, so.
It's like a good idea to me.
So is that what we need to approve, or we just say?
Nope, I'll bring it
work
back for
towards
action in May.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you.
for your patience.
Yeah, no problem.
Discussion regarding timing for creating a new Parks, Recreation, and Trails Master Plan.
So I brought this up with Stephanie recently, a week or 2 ago, and I said that this came up at our last park board meeting, and she said, well, how much of your last master plan have you accomplished? Well, probably less than 50%. She said, well, it's probably a good idea then to continue
Working on the current?
working on the current plan versus choosing a different direction or updating what you got. And I understand where people want to plan something new, but you'd be steering $60,000 or $70,000 that could go into a project, into planning where you may be going the same direction. So I tend to agree that we should likely just stay the course. And there's some of those things that $5 million bridge over the railroad going from Hitchcock Park to downtown, I don't know that I'm ever going to ask for those dollars from the council. And if anybody here disagrees and they say that was something that was actually listed in the last master plan.
So then maybe what we need to do is actually look at the plan and see what's not realistic on it.
So
And just
we-
at least get it off there, so the next time, so that 8 years from now, when the next group is looking at this, they don't come back and say, hey, we only got 50% of it done,
How
because
that
it's
got
not
there
realistic.
is there was a group from SDSU that was here in 2014, and this master plan came out in 2017. Well, one of their ideas was that railroads often conflict with people wanting to get from one place to another. So, be it textbook or not, they saw that stretch from Minnesota over to Burr as people can't get across that. We should find another way for them to get across, not even looking at what the cost might be for our community. So that's how it made it on there, because it was something that group came up with from their architect
And
department.
it is absolutely true, like Mitchell's, the town of Mitchell is split by that railroad, and, you know, it's a bike trail problem, and it's a pedestrian
Well, I mean, you
problem,
can
and,
just use the Sanborn Bridge,
yeah.
and you're just a couple blocks out from downtown anyway,
Yeah,
so.
yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like a 9-block stretch now, I think, once that's, other 3 blocks is taken off the other end. So it's still a path of not being able to get across, but are you really truly going for Main Street as you go across, or is there
Right.
some other destination
Right.
you're going?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And we had that same group here, different students, 2 weeks ago, a group from SDSU, again, the landscape architecture kids, juniors in college, came and they saw lots of information. They walked every street in town, or most of them. We were told they're gonna walk every street. But one of the ideas they came up with was a walkway out in front of Mitchell Tech. Well, that's something that they actually addressed last year through the Public Works Department. So the question got asked by Joel, the lead engineer under Joe over there, and said, did you actually walk this? Because that was done last year. They might have just been looking at a GIS map and saying, this needs to be done. So they presented kind of, here's what some of our thoughts are to me in an email 2 weeks ago, and they needed that back to them again this past Monday. So between she and I and the group, we came up with some counter information. But one of their ideas again was crossing the railroad. but I don't know that it's gonna make the final plan
Yeah.
of their ideas.
Yeah, the east side of town, that definitely is a issue. I mean, it really is. I don't know if there's a solution to it, it's just an issue.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Unless somebody someday says, you
Imagine.
know what, I have a lot of money and I just
Yeah, right.
wanna build this for you.
Yeah.
I've seen places up in, is it Moorhead? Fargo or Moorhead, where they go up over Highway 10 and I-94, and the bridge goes up like this, and it goes over the interstate, and down the other side, it twirls around again, and it's pedestrian
I mean,
bridge.
just like Sioux Falls has one
Yeah.
of those.
But I don't know that we're big enough to have that kind
No,
of.
not even close.
No.
Okay. All right, next meeting.
May 8th,
Well, I have it there.
May 8th.
May 8th? Anybody got an issue with May 8th?
Come back.
And Kevin actually asked permission to have a vacation that week, and it doesn't conflict, and he asked in advance, so, yeah. But I will note that other guys in this department have taken vacation over park board meetings in the past too, so it happens. In fact, Kevin was actually off today and came in to give his report, so he's dedicated.
All right, May 8th. I need a motion to adjourn.
I so move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you, everyone. Would you push that button?